One of the most common questions that I am asked by musicians is, how do I get better? This question is typically coupled with a statement like, I've plateaued, or I don't know how to grow from here. My advice to people who ask this question is always the same. I'll admit that it is a bit counterintuitive, but it works. Let's answer the question and talk about it a little bit more in today's weekly worship thought. The answer that I always give comes in two parts. The first part is a question. Whom are you teaching? I know, that question sounds crazy. I'm the one who wants to get better. Why are you asking me who I am teaching? But here's the deal. The best way to grow is to teach. Our default tendency is to want to receive instruction for ourselves in the privacy of our own homes through YouTube, if possible. And if you're watching this video, then you're kind of proving the point. This is typically indicative of a consumer mentality. It can, quite honestly, be indicative of a selfish mentality. The irony is that we will actually begin to grow when we begin to invest what we have into someone who has less. Are you surprised to hear this? You shouldn't be. It's a biblical principle. Give and you will receive. Your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together to make room for more, running over and poured into your lap. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. Luke 6, verse 38. If you want to learn, start teaching. Now, on this note, here's an important tip to keep in mind. You are never too young to teach, and you are never too old to learn. I have found when teaching others that I really do have something to offer people who are older and wiser than I am. I also have a lot to learn from people who are younger and less experienced. Helping someone else work through a challenge they're facing often leads me to discover other ways to do it myself. They may not do it my way, but perhaps their way is better than mine. I have also discovered, while preparing a lesson, that I really don't know what I'm talking about, and that's okay. That forces me to figure something out before I am able to present it well to others. Do you see how teaching actually causes us to grow? Now, the second piece of advice that I offer to people who desire to grow is simply this: simplify. Our tendency as musicians is to want to be able to do all kinds of things, but we end up doing all kinds of things at a mediocre skill level. We become truly great at nothing. This typically happens because our desire to do all things causes us to take a lot of shortcuts, and we never truly learn how to do one thing well. Drummers will add all kinds of fills to cover up the fact that they can't actually keep a beat. Guitarists will be super busy on the fretboard to cover up the fact that they don't actually know when to play. Singers will add vibrato and inflections because they can't actually hold a note. If you want to get better, if you truly want to grow, try this. Focus on replicating exactly what is on the record. No extra fills, no variation. Exact replication. Perfect the art of emulating what was played on the original recording, note for note, no shortcuts, and you will be amazed at how other things will come easily. In the process, you will learn to make far better artistic decisions for the future, and you will truly become great at something. All right, let's get super practical with these two pieces of advice. First, let's talk about what it looks like to teach others. Obviously, there are many different ways to do this, but I want to offer three practical ideas. First, let's consider one-on-one lessons. How powerful would it be for you to tap someone on the shoulder who is either just starting on the same instrument as you or who doesn't even play the instrument yet? Of course, this would also work with someone who has been playing for a while but whom you think you could help to grow in skill. But you could meet with them for a half hour or an hour before your typical worship team rehearsal and just go over the parts that you are going to play that night. You can talk them through exactly what you plan to play and how to play it, and then you could work with them to help them do exactly what you are doing. If it works out for them and the worship leader doesn't mind, maybe they could even stick around for worship team rehearsal to watch you to do exactly what you said you were going to do. And if you are playing guitar or keyboard, perhaps they could even set up a guitar or a keyboard somewhere else in the room and play along with the worship team. If you're teaching the drums, perhaps they could pull up a chair right next to the drum set and watch exactly what you are doing during rehearsal. Second, let's consider group lessons. Now, personally, I am a huge fan of group lessons. Jesus tended to teach more in a group setting and less in a one-on-one setting, and I think that was yet another part of his brilliance. Instead of tapping one person on the shoulder and offering one-on-one lessons, why not offer group lessons to anyone who is willing to come a half hour or an hour before worship team rehearsal? Offer the exact same type of lesson, but in a group setting. Group lessons provide all kinds of benefits, one of which is that some of the musicians who are really getting it can help the other musicians who are not quite getting it, and in that way, they're already putting this teach others what you know principle into practice. This is also obviously the quickest and most effective way to raise up a lot of musicians in a short period of time. Third, in this digital age, why not consider virtual lessons? You can video record yourself playing a specific part and talking through the how and the why. Then you can upload it to the internet for anyone or just for specific people to see. Taking the time to talk through your part and to really think about what you are playing is the actual benefit here. If it can also serve others, great. And how about the simplify suggestion? How do you practically apply that advice? I would take the time to really listen to the songs that you have played hundreds of times, songs that you think you are really familiar with. Critically listen to your part as the original artist is playing it, and honestly ask yourself if you are playing it the same way that they are. Oftentimes, the original artist is actually playing it simpler than we tend to play it. And more often than not, the original version is better than what we have been playing. Now, after hearing the difference, really take the time to try and emulate the way that the original artist played the song. I like to take notes in an actual notebook with an actual pen or pencil. I write down everything that seems important and I chart out the song from beginning to end. I write down the strum pattern, the timing of the chord changes, the voicings, anything that seems important. Then I use those notes to try to play through the song exactly like the original artist. Of course, the next step here is being able to play that way on stage. Now, admittedly, it's not easy, but it is possible. And chasing that better performance week after week is what keeps me personally from plateauing in my playing. What was one interesting truth or idea that stood out to you today? And how do you think that truth or idea will help you in the future? Have you ever felt like you have plateaued in your playing, like you were stuck and didn't know how to grow any further? If so, what did you do to get unstuck? Or do you still feel that way today? Which of the two pieces of advice resonated the most with you and why? How do you feel about offering lessons either in a one-on-one setting, in a group setting, or virtually? What is keeping you from doing that today? Even though it feels counterintuitive, why do you think the advice of simplifying your playing will ultimately get you unstuck and lead you to becoming a better musician?